Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. I actually pushed start broadcast this time.
Yay!
On Saturday for my stream.
Oh, you
We
gave like all the
we were
introductions.
15 minutes into introductions. Like we had all given introductions, and Amber was like,
Never.
"We're not live."
We're
I
not
was like,
live.
"Fuck." So we went live, and oh my god, if you
The
want to watch that first 5 minutes where we did sprint introductions through our laughter. It was hilarious. Um, anyway, we are here and we may have other people come in. This was a very, very last minute decision to do some pop ups, but we got some projects to work on.
Yeah, we do.
And I really want to work on it, especially since um, this oral anthology, Pride and Prejudice, it's something that is near and dear to my heart. We
Yeah.
were, hey Devin, um, we were in my stream on Saturday, and it was just the perfect storm where, like, Amber said something, and um, Spence in chat followed up, and then I said something, and Charlie said something, and it all just that sequence came together as and became just a really quick like, oh my god, we need to do this as an audio anthology,
Yeah.
especially since it looks like Oral is too busy to do one at the moment.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that is the life she's in now. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
she is buried under work. But yeah, so because Charlie was wanting to do something for Pride, and they were just like, "What am I gonna do? I don't. Can you think of anything?" And just that chain of comments just put it together, and like it was it was meant to be. So yeah, I want to work on my project, which is something I had already started. I have a page and plus a little bit.
hmm
Um, how many words do I have?
I'm probably going to start mine this stream. Probably.
So I have 654 words right now.
Solid.
hmm Um, but I was like, okay, I know what I need to put in here to make it. Well, it's already LGBT. That's not even. I don't think I have the ability to write anything that's not at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I could. I'd be bored with it, but
Yeah.
um, so yeah. We may have. I think Katarina is
Is
planning on
gonna
joining
be.
us
Yeah.
shortly. So hopefully she can pop in during sprint. And I have sent invitations to other people who may or may not show up. We do not know because this
This was
was
super last minute.
all right. So I have a timer
Yay.
up. All right, come on, the golden one. I like the golden one.
Yeah.
It is gorge. All right. So are we ready to start this? Three,
Ready?
2, 1, go.
Bye.
All right. We finished a sprint. Yay! How did people do?
I got a few words.
Oh, okay. Now I had my thing on low volume because I'm amazing.
How'd you do, Tech Grandma?
I don't know. I think I finally got it. What do you think?
Let's see. What did I get? I got. Let me actually use the right thing. 146 words.
Fuck yeah.
I got 196.
Cool.
I figured out a direction to go in for my Horizon Zero Dawn review, and I realized some ways to do that, and then I started writing down my YouTube idea list, and I'm gonna do a video about like my issues with chronic illness fiction, and then end it with like trying to write something, but unfortunately my chronic illness is causing time to be an issue, so that's another issue altogether. And then next sprint I'm gonna deal with my anthology story. We'll see how far I get.
Woohoo! Yeah, I got this open and I realized I want to start this differently. So even though I got a good chunk of words there, it's taking place of something that is later on. So I'm going to have to delete something later.
Wrote something, might delete later.
No, wrote something that is saying something that comes later.
Gotcha.
But I'm changing the order. But hey, it needs to happen. Oh, hey Key, how are you?
Hi, Key.
And Raven is here. I just inhaled something solid.
Uh-oh. You're not supposed to inhale solids, Jace.
I know, but my trachea is like a massive vacuum.
I feel we're having the sweetest thing moment here.
And Devin is here, and Mama Ward came through and said hi. She's got to run errands, though.
Yeah.
An appointment. So, but we also had Raven may have just accidentally written himself into trying to approximate a Scottish accent in a story that he hasn't written more than the title yet. How did he manage that?
Don't worry, there's no true Scotsman, Raven. Anyone can be a Scotsman. I'm sorry.
I am a Scotsman.
Yikes.
Well,
I went down an
I don't know if
apologetics refuting atheist rabbit hole recently on YouTube. So
I don't know if people in Scotland would consider me a Scotsman.
No, probably not.
It's my heritage.
Yeah.
They'll be like, you have never been to this country.
Right.
You're like, but my heart is full of Scottish pride.
Kinda, yeah.
You'll move there one day.
Americans are super into, their origin stories.
Where we came from. That's what our pride is. It is not. Yeah. Oh, sorry. It's one of my pet peeves is when people do the, why is there no white pride? It's like because
that's all the time.
Right.
Well, not only is it all the time, but the pride we have is for our heritage, where we came from. So I would have Scottish pride or British pride, not the color of, my pasty skin.
Pride and whiteness is having pride in colonialism, which I want to dump that one.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sick of being the race that's been around raping and pillaging and otherwise killing.
For a good long while, yeah.
Yep.
No one expects the American colonization.
Everyone expects the American colonization.
That's a better way to put it. Oh no, your poor Poland people.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. So 75% of your ancestry is from Poland. I've never been to Poland, and the only things I can say about Polish are foods and a poorly pronounced version of the word for.
Amt?
I have no idea what that word is.
Aunt? Maybe
Is it
it's
supposed to be? Unless that's another word that I just don't know.
I know, right? My Polish stops with some of the names, and like I think Polish names are awesome. There's one I used to know, Wojtek. It's WOJTEK, Wojtek, and I was like, so.
Oh, I can't even spell aunt in English, much less Polish. And I only know 3 words in Polish, one of which is this word for lips, usta. Sorry, I went down a VeggieTale rabbit hole as well.
Yes, you did.
I don't know that word.
VeggieTale rabbit hole.
There's a whole song about Larry the Cucumber's like, if my lips ever left my mouth, packed bag and headed south, that'd be too bad. I'd be so sad.
What the hell?
If my lips said adios, I don't like you. I think you're gross. That'd be too bad. I'd call my dad.
What the heck?
Oh, sorry. It starts out with Larry in his therapist's office going into one of his deepest fears. That his lips might leave his mouth. And he's like, oh, wait. He goes through all these things he's worried about. And then at one point he's like, 10 days after I turned 8, I got my lips stuck in and I gave it something. And they turned blue. What could I do? And my friends all laughed until I just stood there until the fire department came and broke lock with a crowbar. Until I had to spend the next 6 weeks in lip rehab with this kid named Oscar who would only speak Polish.
I see where this came from. Okay. It came full circle.
Finally. Anyway, it's ridiculous.
Finally, the connection.
Silly songs with Larry, man. It's a trip.
Sometimes it is a lot of fun to just let the ADHD person give the story so you can see where the connection actually lands.
Yeah.
And everybody else is like, dude, I don't know, branding me. No, just kidding. And that was the J. Jace lost all his followers.
Nah. I have too much respect for the ADHD crowd.
Aw.
Because I'm not too far away from it.
You're tiptoeing in the shallow waters.
Basically.
Of executive dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
Before slipping into the sea of ADHD. The water's fine. No, just kidding.
It's like the conversational equivalent of playing lawn darts.
Juti. And
oh yeah, I do know pierogies and kielbasa.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Chuchi, though?
Chuchi is an auntie.
Oh.
I only know the word for lips. Usta.
Usta.
But how did you get lips from... All right, should we dive into another one?
Viva las Prince!
Viva las Prince!
Yeah.
What do you think?
All right, so let us mute in 3, 2, 1, go.
Do you want to share the timer?
No. That one went way fast. I was still working. How did people do? Jenny came in. Hello, Jenny.
Hi, Jenny. Hi,
CB
CB.
also came in. Let me see. Let me do account. This one I think went a little better.
Oh,
269.
nice. I got distracted by my vampire character for the Boston game.
Fun times.
Doing all the relationships and stuff that she's got.
Always a good, fun exercise is creating the new characters.
Yeah. I love it.
Love it, I love it, I love it. Let me get that set up. Did Katerina leave?
She must have.
Oh, dang. Raven, I'm sorry. Raven is not feeling so hot today.
Raven is not feeling so hot today.
I should focus on more short stories. Because
That's what I've been working on lately. Though I might change direction here pretty soon with Emily.
I have my finger issues, so I can't type a lot.
Right.
But short stories, especially flash fiction,
Mhm.
It's not as much writing.
Right.
Thinking about it. Oh, Jenny started thinking about what she wants to do for the Pride and Prejudice thingy. That is what I am working on right now. Right now.
Right now.
Although it is in the title of the video, or of the stream.
Mm.
Oh, I need to... Oh, maybe during the next sprint I will search for Charlie's video.
Mm.
So I can put the link in chat and maybe in the description box as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because we need that on here because we want people to participate.
We want people to participate.
Because it means so much. Because we are in a situation right now where things are going... We thought things were going well for us as the queer nation, and then they weren't.
And then they weren't.
And then someone came and told everyone that we didn't need rights, that we had rights.
Yeah.
That as long as we wanted to live as straight people, we had all the rights as the straight people.
Mm-hmm.
So why give us quote unquote extra rights?
Extra rights.
Mm-hmm.
The whole medical thing really boggles my mind.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Jenny, is that the link to Charlie's video? I hope so. I haven't watched it yet because I've been in the planning process with them. With them,
yeah.
I tried to say them, and it just like slurred so much. It was kind of that country with them. Apostrophe M.
Welcome back.
Hi.
We have a return of a Katerina.
I have come back. Yeah.
Did you get any writing done?
I did actually. I feel like I'm in a got a good angle for it, I hope. I mean, we'll see where it goes, and I'm not sure how to give it a happy ending, but I hope it'll come as I write it.
See, here's the thing with mine. It's not a happy ending. It's a things suck, but I have pride,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's a I'm going to stand up to this type of ending.
My thought of how I could end it feels like super cliche, and I'm not sure I like it. Like, she feels accepted because everybody's wrapping her in different clothes, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm finally being like myself." Because first, at the beginning, she strips all of it off because it's like it's too extra, and then she doesn't feel she can do it because doesn't belong there. And I thought once she gets there, like, but then that just feels so like, geez, that's formulaic. Well, we'll see where it goes. Maybe it'll be fine. Simple can be good.
Oh, and Jenny, the link is in. It's the Pride and Prejudice link of Charlie's page. Excellent. The link to get on StreamYard, if you're willing, is in the StreamYard section in
The flip side.
the flip side. If you wanted to.
If you wanted to.
Yeah, I think during the next sprint, I will try and link stuff in the
Doobly-doo.
in YouTube. That's what it's called. Wow.
Chatty chat.
Yeah.
I am not participating, just supporting. I don't even know where to start, if I'm honest. I don't know where to start either. I just kind of jumped in, and I'm hoping it'll end up something good. So, it's where we're all at. Die. Well, not everybody.
Okay.
I don't know how to talk about. Yeah, she's not feeling sociable today. Yeah, I get it.
That's okay.
That is absolutely fine.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out like how much of my story I want to tell.
That too.
Because it's not necessarily a positive story.
Well, the thing about Pride is that we want the stories told, whether they are positive and hopeful or, just, or, heart-wrenching and sad. It's just, there are stories.
You're alive. You can count living as a win. If you lower the bar enough, your life can be counted as a win.
If you lower the bar enough.
You're alive. You're winning at life.
But
Okay.
yeah, the other thing that it came up in a very pro-LGBT space, and it really threw me for a loop that this came up in a pro-LGBT space.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the stories that need to be told.
Yeah.
And, the representation that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who is generally very, very articulate and open about all the LGBT plus issues, they said that, we need more representation across the board. Well, not gay male representation. There's enough of that. And I was just like, excuse me?
I don't know. When you compare it to cis-het white male representation, yeah.
I would say gay male representation is at probably 75% where it needs to be. And just because everything else is at about 5 to 10% of what it needs to be doesn't mean we stop with one. This is not a stop gay male representation because the others need more representation. It's
right.
get everybody up to where they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Bring more chairs to the table, not take chairs away. This isn't musical chairs.
Yeah. This is don't take from one to give to the other. This is we need more.
I mean, yeah.
So yeah, that got to me.
Yeah, I suspect it did. And this isn't like a yes all women Me Too sort of situation. We're just trying to lift everybody up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a lot of dudes coming at me basically saying like, "Hey, I experienced those things too." And I'm like, "Yes, but the conversation right now isn't about you." And they blocked me. So, and that was my brother-in-law.
Jesus.
So, such is life.
That
I don't know if it's quite
also that's what a lot of people were experiencing with the Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, everyone needs to be respected. It's like that's not what the conversation's about right now.
That's not what the conversation's about right now. And the whole all lives, like the Russian lives matter. Like, I get the conversation that they're trying to have in Russia. I get that. But to piggyback on BLM, oh.
I feel like Putin doesn't have the best track record on PC, so it's mildly expected.
Well, it's definitely not about Putin.
That's true.
It's about
I don't really know.
It's about police brutality.
Oh, in Russia, is that what it's about? Okay, my bad. I didn't really know.
That's why dash cams are like a mandatory thing in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
To make sure the cops don't take advantage of you.
CB says, don't rob from the rich to give to the poor, in other words.
I feel like that would be robbing from the middle class to give to the poor.
Yeah. It'd be robbing from the lower middle class.
Lower middle class to give to the poor.
The one successful person in the tenement building.
Yeah.
Let's storm his walls. We're all in the tenement building, y'all.
And Raven says representation isn't pie. There's enough room for everyone. More representation for one group or doesn't, or at least shouldn't detract from another. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It shouldn't be some sort of pain contest if we want to take some disability problems and throw them in.
Boy, howdy. The whole the pain contest, like I get my mom and my sister are like champions at that shit. Like I'm like, you like, my sister has fibro and has made her 100% disabled at this point. Like, she won. Like, why continue to argue about who has it worst? Like, it's ridiculous. Oh yeah, well, I have cancer. Oh yeah, well, I have fibro. Oh yeah, well, and I'm like, holy crap.
And then some people are also like, oh, well, I have this and I can do all these things. What's wrong with you and your ability to do these things? Like, it's not this isn't a contest, y'all. Let's be respectful of the fact that energy levels are stupid and complicated.
Yeah, exactly.
Disabled people. And I've noticed, because I've been looking for it, so maybe that's why I'm saying it, but every time people list all the oppressed groups, disabled people get left out like the most. But I'm glad we're part of the conversation now, as opposed to back in the day when I feel like it was like, oh, whatever, people are fine. They have handicapped spots, we're good.
Yeah.
Good. The ableism and then like basically like pain contests in the disabled community is disheartening, to say the least.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to steal that. It's just, it sucks when there's like isms in both groups. It's like, we're all oppressed here, can't we?
Can't we? Yeah.
Group hug.
Group hug.
Good thing.
That's why for that, especially during this this event, this
Mhm.
Pride and Prejudice. In the things that I put forward,
Mm-hmm.
I emphasize that we want intersectionality. Like, if you've got something else that ties into your pride, we want those stories.
Oh my god. Oh. Scheiße.
Oof. At the beginning of the pandemic, people who have autism were being persecuted here because they were out with a chaperone for their mental health. Damn.
And Ginny talking about the pain contest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Every time I said I hurt this week, my mom would call me and tell me how much more she is hurting. It was annoying because she would purposely want to invalidate. Mm-hmm.
To trivialize your struggle is really messed up.
That is narcissistic.
And it sucks that it's such a like common thought pattern, at least from like America and kind of Britain, that I've seen. Like it's something that seems to be something that we gravitate towards, like, and it takes active moving out of that. Like even as somebody who has a chronic illness and stuff, there was a time where I was internally ableist and also outwardly ableist and doing that bullshit. And I had to realize that I was like, why is that the mental pattern we go to? Why aren't we just more like, you know, hugging or whatever?
It's a lot of people didn't grow up Buddhist, you know, like they don't have the open-mindedness and the everybody deserves to be supported sort of mentality, you know, where you don't trivialize other people's struggle.
Like why we need to also win the pain contest. Like why did I even like start doing that? You know, like why was that like, whoa, really you think you have it bad? So just like, I'm sorry you're hurting.
I'm sorry you're hurting. Yeah, that sucks.
Although one thing also to keep in mind is that some people are not playing the pain contest when it looks like they are, because the only way they know how to relate is to tell their own story with yours.
Yeah,
right. And like those with autism are trying to use that as their scapegoat. I think making the story about you is not great. I don't care if you have autism or not. Making the story about you there's the whole bubble thing. You don't bitch about what happened to the person in the bubble, like to the person in the bubble. You don't do that.
No, I'm talking about like if like you tell a story about something that you're going through, and the other person, they're not trying to trivialize it, they're sharing a similar story.
They're like, hey, I relate to your experience,
trying to
but it's
share
not
their
what
experience.
Everybody likes or finds loving, which is challenging because some people like realize like or are okay with that or recognize it as loving, and other people like, why aren't you just listening to me and letting me talk, bitch? Like, why are you making it about you? There are times where the love language is commiseration, and I get that, but like it's not appropriate. It can be blanketed, used a lot. I'm guilty of that for sure. Like I've definitely like somebody's told me something, I've been like blah 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 blah, and trying to relate, and that was not the appropriate thing. The appropriate thing would have been to be like,
wow,
I'm
that
sorry.
Sucks. Yeah.
And I'm learning. It's been challenging.
It's hard. It's hard, especially when you grow up commiserating, you know, like, oh, hey, I also went through something terrible. So if you need someone to talk to, you know, and I, at this point, I kind of word it that way, you know, like, so I don't have to like go into specifics. And I know reaching out can be hard. So I try to reach out first and, you know, like, because I'm coming at it from a suicide prevention sort of standpoint, you know, and grieving and, you know, stuff like that.
I think kind of your point, Sako, like to relate it to something I read somewhere, like this woman was talking about her dad who had diabetes and he would be an asshole, and she's like, yeah, he had a reason because his blood sugar was crashing, but you're still an asshole.
You're still you still have an asshole hat on. Like,
right?
could you
like,
take it off? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, even though you have a reason for having your asshole hat on, then that means like after you're done with your little moment, you need to apologize for being an asshole. And like, I think something that maybe, I don't know if it's capitalism or growing up with narcissistic parents or parents of narcissism, where you need to like just own the fact that you hurt somebody, and that can be very challenging to do, and just be like, oh, I'm sorry I hurt you, instead of trying to like justify it or be like, I didn't mean it that way or whatever. And that I feel like has been at least
my dad used to be really bad about that, especially in restaurants when his blood sugar was super low.
Jenny is going to rest, so
All
rest
right.
well, Jenny.
Feel better. Or more baseline.
Raven says a lot of the Western mentality can be laid at the feet of capitalist conditioning. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you can't give the impression you're contributing in some way, you have no worth in the eyes of capitalism society. Yes, 100%.
Definitely.
Profound.
I struggle with that.
Profoundly put. It is a societal problem, and it's a capitalist societal problem that ties into toxic productivity and all of that jazz. Like, I have to contribute to this, and to this solution.
Their success is my failure. I feel like capitalism builds that in. Like, anybody's success means you're failing. Yeah. And instead of, to quote Hamilton, the world is wide enough for Hamilton and me.
Yeah.
And it's the people that are pushing this mentality are the ones that need us to like soak up that mentality for them to get richer. Like, it's all the people who need more money, well, they don't need it, but they feel like they need it, that are...
Well, because if they stop working, then what is their worth anymore? Like, yeah, they have money, but like their worth as a human is tied up in their work ethic.
Boy, I had an existential crisis somewhat reasonably that was along those lines. Like, without my art, who the hell am I?
Oh my God.
Like without drawing comics, you know, like, am I a comic artist? Like, and I had to come to terms with the idea that I am not my job.
I keep having to reconcile that I am not my productivity.
And I am not my productivity.
It's so hard, especially the days where I'm like, I'm a week and a half in, so laying in bed, and I have 6,000 projects I'm going to get. Body, why do you not love me?
That was why I took Monday off, is because of that toxic productivity that I was starting to, like, grab the spiked whip from the wall to start flagellating myself over not working.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough stuff.
And then I was just like, oh shit, no, don't do that. Step away.
It's hard to figure out a way to motivate yourself when you grew up learning that you should self-flagellate to move yourself forward and get things done. And it's like, now I'm just burning all my spoons, hating myself, not doing anything, and not resting.
The guilt.
Right?
The guilt saps you hard. And and like, my heart goes out to all of you who struggle with this, like, for real.
Seriously.
But Yeah, and you guys know that on Friday I did not take a day off.
Mm-hmm.
And I did more stuff on Friday. And because I did not take Friday off, it was a chain of I don't know how many days of
You also did a double stream on Sunday with
yeah,
Amber.
yeah.
Oh, so you
So
tanked yourself and then you tanked yourself again.
Well, it was just a matter of, okay, I'm on a roll. Let's see what else I can do. Let's see what else I can do. Let's see what else I can do.
and
And
then you tap yourself out, and then yeah, and then you feel guilty that you're not being productive.
mhm.
You tapped yourself out, like, yeah, that sucks.
So, yeah, that's why I need to make sure I force myself to take those 2 days off so I don't start it, because what it does is it starts a cycle in my head where I have to do something. I have to do something.
And Key, I hope you realize you are not your illness.
Right.
I think they do because they were saying I'm still a writer, and I love that mentality. Like, yeah, and yes, your job is to survive cancer, and that's hard. I mean, I don't have chemo.
That's your job, but you are not your job. Like you are, your worth is not based on your survival. Like, I don't know what I was trying to say there. It's like we don't think of Key and automatically think of cancer. Like that's not part of your brand. Like I think of you as a person first, and then you're a writer, and then also you happen to have cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Warrior Key Clavis.
Warrior Key Clavis. Yeah. I am the warrior fighting my illness. Absolutely.
You all seem to be amazing, and then also like what I feel like CB 3946 something. When my father refused to be able to.
Raven's got to go. And
Hi, Raven.
Also said before he goes, his relationship with writing is the same way. If I'm not writing, who am I?
Yeah.
I recently, last night, realized like, I was like, if I don't get to the end of my life and have written anything, then I will have wasted my life and have major regrets. And Chris was like, you realize it's like major stakes you've given yourself, right? Like that might be causing you some issues to write. And I was like, no, I've lowered the stakes. I don't need to have my book like be famous or get to a movie. He's like, you realize you still have. And I was like, oh, yes, I guess I do need to readjust my self-worth here with my productivity again.
With my productivity again, yeah.
Ugh.
As long as you work, as you check in and you work on it a little bit, like then as long as progress is made, it could take, like it took me 11 years to put out Hope's Chest, right? And that was a learning experience, but it was a matter of like moving forward in small chunks rather than like basing my productivity on the progress of the book. Like rather than saying, okay, I'm going to finish this by X date. I just like work on it until it's done.
I've just put so much into it. Not so much time, but like I've like got all these stakes around the stories I want to write, and it's not doing me any favors anymore. It's just making me paralyzed.
Yeah.
And so I bring out the whip of self-flagellation, and that also isn't doing anything anymore.
Funny how that is the metaphor that's coming out today. The whip of self-flagellation. It's better than the never-ending carpet bag, though.
I was just about to say this where I pulled that whip from.
Okay, let's leave that train of thought because that'll take us to a really raunchy place. Oh, the things you missed before you came on the coffee this morning.
Yeah, apparently.
Do you have your camping whip? It telescopes. I now feel like my physics
Hint,
teacher in high school
it
where
was
I'm
a
laughing
piece
so
of
hard.
it was a piece of anatomy
Um,
being used like that.
I figure.
It's my endless pocket.
Okay. Every time you snort, it makes me crack up again.
I feel like my physics professor in high school who would like tell a bad joke and then he'd laugh at himself so hard we'd start laughing. And then he thought we were laughing at his joke, so he'd laugh harder. He's trying. It was hilarious. Anyway, so okay, moving on.
Oh, here's another thing. Sometimes I feel guilty when I'm filling the well. I'm
Yeah.
not producing, but I need to
Yes!
get inspiration from other places sometimes too. Yeah, that is another thing.
That is particularly where I struggle.
Also, somebody pointed out to me that writing is a lot of thinking. And so it's okay if you just sit there and think a lot, but we don't.
Same with art.
Right?
With art. Yeah.
And so it's okay to think, but for some reason we've gotten in this productivity mode so much that like thinking isn't doing. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Oh,
You're
hugs.
no, you just blew my mind. Because I knew this. I knew this was a thing that I do. It's when I game. And I told Sako about this when I was doing developmental editing. I do my thinking while I'm gaming. So I'm actually writing when I'm doing that.
Right? There's apparently that. Okay, according to my friend who went to UPenn, well, my niece is actually, anyway, never mind. So there's a couple different ways you can write. A lot of schools just tell you have to outline. But another way you can do is a lot of pre-thinking, and then you sit down and write it all at once. And so some people are outliners, and other people are pre-thinkers. And once you, and then go, I mean, it's good to have a bit of a squishy outline sometimes, but like.
Oh, I'm 100% a pre-thinker. That is how I operate.
Yeah.
It just was nice to have permission given to write that way, because I feel like school and whatever is like, you must outline.
That is another place I do thinking. I will do it in the shower. I will also, I have these, they're not actual candles, but they're battery operated candles.
Oh, sure.
And I will have those on in the bathroom and turn off the lights.
I do that with actual fire.
Same. I have some witchy magic candles with stones in them I put on.
Yeah.
And oh my god, when you've got the water and the dim warm light, something about that combination just makes the brain go wah.
Right? I've not tried psychedelics, but my thought is if you microdose psychedelics, it would be a similar experience to the like amazing brain things that can happen in a nice bath. Only with microdosing. That's probably inappropriate. Never mind. Moving on. Moving on from alternative mental health treatments.
Spence says, I don't feel guilty for not being productive in the moment. It's later when I realize what I've let slip that I feel guilty. Yeah.
If you think of it as wasted time, that's that's never a good feeling.
What you have to do in those moments is think about what you were doing during that time and why you were doing it. Like, let's say you spent like 6 hours making bread instead of writing. For you, that's therapeutic.
That's fair. And also sustenance providing, which is important. Does anybody though get to that point where they're like, well, maybe I need to rest, but I could push myself, and you're not sure where that is? And sometimes when you push yourself, then you have to be tanked for longer. And then other times you're like, I could have pushed myself. Great. Now I'm like guilty and not productive.
And also, Spence, I know some of the stuff you're going through right now, and it is very difficult to take yourself away from that. And sometimes you need to just process it and do something that refills your spoon drawer.
Not to.
When my mom was sick, I was constantly filling my spoon drawer. Like
Mhm.
constantly. And it was time that was needed to refill the
Mhm.
spoon drawer for sure. So that was my first foray into not feeling guilty for refilling my spoon drawer because my mom was, you know, especially since we didn't know what was going wrong and she was just like losing weight ridiculously and
Her iron levels had tanked and nobody knew what was going on. It was really freaky.
we didn't know what was wrong. So
Yeah.
they had to test her marrow and that's how they found out she had cancer. So
I have one of those centerpiece things by Yankee Candle. I put that on with some classical music and a nice hot bath with the lights off. That sounds like heaven.
Right? I'm like, maybe I'll go take a bath after this.
It's best when the sun is not up.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't matter in my bathroom because there's no windows. So
Same with my bathroom.
I do not have that option.
I honestly wish I had like my bathroom windows.
This morning before my support worker came, I started cleaning my single wardrobe. So I'm thinking that's a one of those things that you were filling your spoons or something, just doing something. Because that's another thing that works sometimes is doing something physical.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're just like, I need to move around. I need to do something with my body and not
Or
try
have
and
a
run my
project
brain.
you complete from beginning to end because that tells you and reinforces to yourself you can complete something, which then helps you feel more self-worth, which was something I read in psychology. So like completing a small task then allows you a beginning to end thing and seeing the
Mhm.
reward from it. Which is why baking bread is so awesome because you get both the taste and the physical product in the end. So it's a double like serotonin hit if that's what works for you.
yeah,
Nice. So we should probably sprint some more.
probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I am going to put that up this time.
Woo!
And we can sprint in 3, 2, 1. Go. All right. Another one down. Another one down.
Another
Another
one
sprint
down.
back to dust.
And another one down. Another one down.
Let me. I adjusted the thing in the video description, so
Okay.
that's taken care of. So, but that also took some of my time. So let me see what I got for this one. Workout 216.
I started over and started writing an essay of sorts
Okay.
of my experience, and I got 327 before I took a call for my insurance adjustment.
Oh, that was coming. Yeah.
And I'm expecting it to come again. So I might mute myself when
Come
I
again?
take the call. Wah, 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 wah.
So I have an Arizona iced tea that
Mhm.
with raspberry, and I was like, well, I've been wanting a raspberry drink for a while,
Mhm.
and
'Tis the season.
yeah, it's kind of a staple for me. For it means summer to me,
Yeah. Yeah.
as especially like hint of raspberry and
Yeah.
something light and refreshing and
Mhm.
very cold. And this is actually really hitting the spot.
I'm so glad.
Nice.
And Raven has returned.
Yay.
Actually, trying to convince myself that I was already plenty productive today in doing my entire week's worth of laundry, washed, dried, and put away, and to just chill. It would eventually prove that he had no chill. I fully support the week's worth of laundry being a successful day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've adulted enough. I agree. You can put your kid pants back on.
But not literally, because that would be really tight.
Kid pants are just being naked, Chase.
Oh.
It's spring! I must free everything!
Spence said, baking bread has been on my to-do list since Sunday, and I haven't gotten to it. Oof.
I feel that. I've been meaning to make cinnamon rolls for the past 3 weeks.
I would say, Spence, step back, think of what you personally need
Yeah.
to center yourself.
Drawing, maybe? Drawing, maybe?
Drawing, maybe, yeah. And do that, because we need more of that to happen. Less beating our... fewer whips of self-flagellation and more hands of self-congratulation.
Mm-hmm. Count what you have done, not what you still have left.
Keith said, I got to eat cookies for breakfast. Only thing my stomach could tolerate. So I'm calling that a win.
That is a win. Food in tummy. Not feeling like total death.
Spence says, cinnamon rolls, bread, scones, cake, all things that I want to do. So, yeah. So next sprint, just start, or while we're talking, because it really doesn't matter if you're just listening to us. Is just get into your zone and let yourself see. I think that's where you're hitting, where you hit the wall with yourself, is you thought, I have to bake, and more of a, I'm going to let myself bake.
So, like, you're doing house stuff that's so much spoon drain.
Yeah.
It's okay if you have to buy white bread for a couple days or weeks, whatever.
Well, Spence is a kitchen witch, I believe.
Yes.
So she gets into her zone while she's cooking, which is, I can do that, but I haven't recently. I haven't allowed myself to.
Mhm. How come?
I'm not sure. Just a matter of always having something that I want to be doing at the time that I'm cooking, which is not the right headspace to be in. It's been in the zone of I need to do this instead of I get to do this.
Yeah.
And that makes the fun things not fun.
I feel my brain is a toxic cesspool. Smart Raven. Always do everything pantsless, by the way.
Okay.
Are we
Let
doing
me.
another?
I am pulling up another timer because I am not done with this piece yet.
My piece is switched between first and third person like 6 times. I'm hoping to get something out of it. We'll see.
My comfort zone is first person. So I only struggle when I try and write something in third. Spence says cake mixes are god tier. I think that's part of the reason why I have trouble writing these days, because I began to interpret creativity as work, and it actually made me not want to do it. Yep.
Yeah.
I hate
Yep.
when that happens.
Especially those of us who, monetized that aspect of their brain, right? So, like, it's all I know how to do. It's all I know how to do. So, like, that's why I was like, without my art, who am I even? Like, what?
Laura says I sometimes write my micro flash fiction in second POV.
That's
Fun
super
times.
fun. That's
Yeah,
super
I
fun.
did that for the last anthology.
Yeah, me too.
That's not funny. That was gross. Okay, maybe on.
Yeah, wouldn't do a whole novel in it, but for short stories it can be fun. Yes, it
Yeah.
can be.
I want to do like a choose your own story all in second person. I think that'd be really fun.
And here's the thing that people, I don't think this group is novice enough to fall into that trap.
Hmm.
The, oh my God, this is crap. What I'm writing is crap. Because it totally negates editing. It's like,
It does.
let it be crap.
Yeah.
Let it be. And just get it out of your head. That way you can go back and make it not crap. But first, get it out of your head.
Yep. Which is why I write like bullet point notes.
Mm-hmm.
Like just.
I don't know. I'm still fighting that demon. This is total crap. I can't write. Oh, it's fine. Just write anyway. Anything. Write anything. Right? But I definitely fall into George R. R. Martin.
Pro tip. All of us write crap first draft.
No, I know. I just get in my head sometimes.
Well, sometimes I just like write a thing and send it out. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
For a while, I was reading Mr. Turtle stuff, and he's like, "You haven't written anything bad yet. You're not writing enough."
Yeah.
Like, good point.
Good point. Yeah.
That's how I used to do it in high school. It was fun and made my teacher real mad at me, and I had to fight her about whether or not "they" is good grammar.
It is.
What's wrong with people?
What the?
English teachers are what gets us something like Twilight, where she's like, she intoned so much. It's like, just use "said." Oh my god, just use "said."
Yeah, those people. I have thoughts. I have feelings.
Yeah.
As an editor, the people who hate "said" or want to replace oh god, what's the term?
Tags, like
Yeah,
dialogue tags.
replace dialogue tags with action tags. It's like, no, you can replace some of them, and it makes sense, but not all of them.
Yeah.
You need a balance.
You need a
Otherwise,
balance.
it looks wonky as hell. It reads horribly.
And it doesn't emphasize anything because you've emphasized everything.
Mm-hmm.
Infuriating. I didn't know how people how'd that get past an editor? It just sucked. I felt it was horrible writing, but I'm picky. And then Lindsay Ellis pointed out there's been a lot of bad writing that people enjoy. We just all enjoy different kinds of bad writing. Like, I actually liked Ready Player One, unpopular opinion.
I just read a book called You Were Made for This that doesn't have a dialogue, like a quotation mark, anywhere near it. And it kind of didn't need it.
That's possible.
It was really weird.
Oh no,
it's not that her grammar was bad. It's that, like, and you couldn't tell what was internal and what was external, and sometimes, and sometimes that was part of the mystery. Like,
that sounds like it was a deliberate choice.
I think so.
Not just a choice to try to be interesting for interesting's sake, but an actual, like, stylistic choice. Like, not that the
stylistic choice. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could say constantly using a bunch of different, like, modifiers would also be considered a stylized choice, but I think one is, like, just poor writing and the other one is an intentional subversion of what you're doing. Or at least that's what it sounds like from what you're describing.
Yeah, that's another point that people harp on without actually knowing what the fuck they're talking about. Is, they're like, well, this rule is stupid and don't follow it, and this rule is stupid and don't follow it, and this rule is stupid and don't follow it. It's like, no, learn them, follow them, understand them, then you can break them.
Yeah.
But don't be telling people who don't understand the rules and why they're in place not to use them, because that's going to be some crappy ass writing. And you can tell when someone is deliberately circumventing the rules as an artistic choice, and when someone just doesn't know what they're doing.
I think so. Lisa Daly showed me an app called Scream, Chills, and Thrillers, and it's basically like Vella, but it pays more. So, and you submit a whole book, and then it serializes the book, and the first 3 chapters are free, I think. And I found a book that the writing was, like, full of what I would call grammatical mistakes. Like writing segments and starting with "and," "but," that stuff. And, like, that is really bothersome to me. And I'm more distracted by the writing style. Like, when is it style and when is it actually bad grammar.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on the narrator.
Yeah.
In that case, because not just the narrator, but the point of view specifically.
Mhm.
Because if it's really close in someone's head, and you're actually in their head narrating, then
That
the
would make
sentence structure.
sense because everything is considered dialogue at that point. Like
Yes.
that's different. But when the narrator is like third omnipotent, like you can't talk like that.
Unless you're being super, super stylistic and going for a specific tone, like especially like humor.
Oh, it was definitely not humor. It was
Because if you're
it was
doing,
supposed to be a thriller.
ugh. Yeah, I can't think of a defense for that.
Yeah, I'm just like super disappointed. And then I found another book which was really well written and set in DC, so I'm kind of here for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what you said is kind of what I'm worried about with Bella.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as
Yeah.
people not taking the time to edit
Mm-hmm.
or understand what is good writing and what's not, and just posting whatever.
Segments, like or run-ons. Set. I'm not bothered. No, not at all.
See,
I agree.
I'm not as worried. I'm worried about segments, but not as worried about segments as some other stuff, because there are a lot of different tones that can call for more segmented sentences.
Sure.
But
Especially
you have
if
to
you're
be
writing
in
an action scene or
Mhm.
like you're trying to have like extra punch, like that makes sense. Sure.
or
But
something that's really dark,
right.
like noir and stuff.
Mhm.
I think it just depends also on the overall context of the piece, kind of like with poetry, depending on like what you're going for and the imaging and like. So, to bring this back to a very controversial novel, or likable to otherwise. So, Ready Player One, I felt like the ending was quick, rushed, and like not well thought out. And then Chris and I read it, or Mr. Turtle and whatever, and he pointed out that like that's how the ending of video games were back in the 80s and 90s, is that they Link would get the girl and then it would just wrap up really, really fast. And it was like,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, part of what what's his face who did Ready Player One was kind of doing was like doing
Calling
a
back.
video game story arc inside a novel. And so you could perceive it as bad writing, or you could but I think in the overall context of the full story, it was actually supposed to mimic a video game and that kind of like beginning to end thing. Mm-hmm. And so what I originally thought was a poor choice may have actually been an intentional stylized choice. And I think looking at the overall context of the novel, you could make that case. But I feel like for Twilight, when they kept just using little modifiers all the time, that was just her thinking that's what good writing was. Right. And it didn't, I felt it took away from my ability to read the story. Yeah. Since I didn't get past the first chapter. Like I tried. I even tried watching the movies. I was like, oh, this is so bad.
This is so bad.
This is so bad. I'm too old for this.
But the riff tracks are like mwah.
What are the riff tracks?
Riff tracks is MST3K. Like the guys who do MST3K.
Oh yes, I love those.
Do MP3s and videos and stuff like that you can buy and play it in sync with what you're watching on TV.
Oh, that's fun.
Nice.
So it's like you have commentary coming from your computer while you're watching the movie.
Oh, fun.
And the Twilight stuff is hilarious.
Oh, I would love to see that.
I believe that. I might actually watch that. I like that last comment C394 says, which is, trying to deal with British grammar is entirely another cauldron of fish. What a
What's
saying.
funny is when I was growing up, that's what I was reading.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if, like, what I consider good grammar is technically British.
I think some of it might be, because I know
There are some things that I do, I apparently like that are considered archaic, and like they're not considered good grammar anymore.
but they once were,
But
and
they once were.
and that's something that's. See, I wouldn't say it's like evolved or anything. I think it's just different paths.
Is it? Because I
That
was told that it was bad grammar.
No, I'm talking about like British grammar versus English grammar.
Oh,
Like, one's not, you know, more archaic than the other. It's just different paths.
mhm.
Whereas so there are some things that are still used in British grammar that we no longer use in English grammar because we've gone in a different direction. So it's archaic English grammar, but modern British grammar.
Oh,
My only thoughts about it can be summed up. Well, I don't have thoughts about it, but I just have a quote from Never Been Kissed that I like about English and British grammar. I can quote it or not. Basically, it ends with, and unless you're a pompous American, I'd use EA.
Making a very niche stylistic choice is always going to be a gamble, because you can't always be certain enough people are going to be in on understanding the choice you made to retain an audience. Yes.
Yeah. Unless it's just blatant bad writing like Maze Runner or Twilight, in which case somehow that managed to get past the public and the editor.
yeah. And still has a fandom.
Why? How? Also, 50 Shades of Grey was so badly written too. It was so bad. How? I couldn't even listen to all of them all the way through. I was like, I'll listen to it. That's how I got through, like, what was it? For Whom the Bell Tolls. I was like, I'll push through this. It's a teen novel.
Oh, I saw or read this thing on 50 Shades of Grey and how that came to be, and it was all advertising.
Yeah.
It was someone with a fuck ton of money.
You mean the Mormon church?
Saying, this can make us a lot of money. And it did, because they pumped a lot of money into advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
And going through the regular channels, it would not have taken off like that.
Also, I think that the fact that it misrepresented what BDSM was allowed it to be pushed through, because it played into a normal, the people what vanilla people think of when they think of BDSM, and so
right.
that I think.
Yeah, where are their whips of self-flagellation?
You don't have to have a tragic backstory to like getting spanked. My God.
Laura says, my spelling is all sorts of messed up. Spell things American, and my phone corrects it to Canadian.
Oof.
Like, two authors that I had wildly different responses to their stylistic choices are China Mayville and Caitlin Kiernan. Don't know them, but
Neither.
For a minute, I thought China Mayville was a kind of style choice that I hadn't heard of before, and then I realized it was a name.
Okay, the first was really enjoyed, and the second was unreadable. Yep. Okay, I read the entire Twilight series.
I'm impressed.
And I did not enjoy it, but I could not stop.
Oh.
So it suckered you in, huh?
There was something about it. I think it was because it flowed really fast. that you were done and it left you at a place where I guess you would want to pick up the next book?
Well, the story arc overall, like when I'm just hearing it, some of it sounds interesting. Like, I mean, werewolves versus vampires, that sounded cool. The whole big battle. And then I also love that one actress, Kindred. Anna Kendrick.
Anna Kendrick, yeah.
And I know that she has a kind of farcical part in that movie. So I was like, well, maybe I can get through it. And I couldn't.
Yeah.
But I understand the appeal of wanting to continue on with it. Like, because Maze Runner is a good story. It's just poorly written. Except
See, I haven't read that.
Don't bother reading it, but the movies are fun.
Ah,
The writing is so bad.
is it?
Oh, God, it's awful. Chris didn't believe me, and then I made him read Harry Potter, and he was like, oh, you're right. The writing is terrible in Maze Runner. Like,
and even so, Harry Potter wasn't written great.
No, it's not like the best writing ever, but like that should give you the spectrum of just how bad.
I read the first book and then the third book because I was told that the third book was the best in the series, Prisoner of Azkaban.
The fourth, that's my favorite. Goblet of Fire for life.
I spent a week reading Prisoner of Azkaban, and I wanted that week back. I was so mad that everybody was like, oh no, it's the best, it's so good. And then I was like, no, it's not. It's awful.
I preferred book 2 and book 4 out of the series. Like basically.
I'll watch the movies. The movies are fine. I really like the world building that she did. But like the characters and the storylines and all of that just don't appeal to me.
That's fair.
Raven says China Mayville writes really out there speculative fiction, and Kiernan writes highly poetic cosmic horror. Both genres interest me, but the way Kiernan wrote her stories was just inscrutable to me.
Sako, I wonder if you'd like the writing of Cornelia Funke.
I don't know.
She did the Inkheart series, but I prefer the series she did after that, which is tangentially related, which is her Mirror World series, and the first book is Reckless. I really enjoyed that a lot.
Ooh.
Anybody read that? No.
Raven says, which I struggle with a bit because Caitlin Kiernan is a trans writer, and I wanted really hard to give my support, but the writing just didn't speak to me. Yeah, that is a really hard situation when you want to support someone and you're just like,
I can't support your work. Like I can't.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I was so relieved when your book was so good, Sako. I was like, thank God. Oh, it's amazing. Okay.
And
are you sure? Like, I
still like your writing. It's amazing. I think it's well done.
Okay.
No, and I'm in the reverse position right now with something I'm watching.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, I wish this wasn't so fucking good.
Yes.
The new Superman and Lois TV show.
Is it good? Oh, good.
It's super good, but there is no fucking representation in it.
Yeah, of course.
Well, of course.
And it's just, it feeds into that
whole... with Jimmy and Superman. I want to ship Jimmy and Superman.
Jimmy's not in it. This is post Metropolis. This is their life after all that stuff. So, well, it's in the CW Arrowverse. It's officially part of that. So Jimmy Olsen was actually on Supergirl after he left Metropolis. So he was on the first bunch of seasons of Supergirl. So he hasn't been part of the storyline for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, there's no LGBT going on. There's one black character, one Asian character, and everyone else is straight and white.
Oh, yay. So it's 90s diversity.
Yes. And it's very well written and emotionally compelling, and I hate that it is.
I feel you.
It's
Maybe
like,
terrible, but I liked Philosophy Tube, but when she came out as trans or as Abigail, I was like, I really like you a lot better as Abigail Oliver or Abigail. Sorry, I am fucking this up entirely. Okay, I'm gonna go hide. I'll be back later.
Okay. You're okay.
I'm not. That was poorly said.
but the other problem is the fan base. There is, well, not the fan base for the CW shows, but there is a subset of the fan base that is super loud and super vocal.
Yeah.
That's basically superhero fan base that gets
Right.
on the CW stuff for being so inclusive. And they're just having a heyday with Superman and Lois because it's not shoving their agenda down your throat. It's like, really?
Mm.
It's like, I understand that this is a good show, and it's a good show despite the fact that it's not including a lot of people, not because it's not including a lot of people.
Lauren, Spence, you guys should check out the Reckless series and get back to me, see what you think, especially if you finish all of the Inkheart series. Because it's set in the Inkheart world, except in the future. It's so cool. Okay, go ahead. It's just really good, and the protagonist is like 22, which is cool as well.
So CB says, well, it's because I haven't got anyone to teach me that X is wrong, Y is right, Z is wrong, etc. I do what I was taught, i.e. 2 spaces after a period, 1 after a comma. Now it's it's now 1 after both. I
tried to keep up with that.
I screw that up so much because I was also taught 2 spaces after a period because that's...
But it'll autocorrect now, I notice. In Word or in Google Docs, it'll auto...
Mine doesn't do that.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Meadow calls me out on it all the time.
Oh.
And I'm just like, yeah, that's why when before my stuff goes public, that's one thing that people are... Sorry, I got a pop-up. What was I going to say? Oh, that's whoever does my copy edits or proofreads, they're going to have to go through and hit my post-period spaces because it's just something I can't stop doing.
Yeah. My lowercase i's, which is leftover from my BDSM days. So it's very poignant statement about how I felt about myself at the time. But unless it's at the beginning of a sentence, I am really terrible about capitalizing it. So now Google Docs or Scrivener or whatever will autocorrect that for me, which is helpful because, like, actually Google Docs doesn't fix it because I had to go through like 3 times to like comb through and get all the I's.
Raven says, it is unfortunate and frankly toxic that so many comic superhero fans are more willing to engage and support related media with a glaring lack of representation, which feeds into producers not including representation in their products because they're convinced the fan base won't support it. There is a review group that I can't remember their name, and I wouldn't repeat it if I knew it because I don't agree. And they are that toxic fanboy. They have that,
They're the nostalgia critic mentality.
They have that mentality that, the media or that the superhero genre is getting polluted with quote unquote PC garbage.
Yeah.
Side note, Spence, the second book in Inkheart is narrated by Brendan Fraser. Just fly. So if you want to listen to it on audiobook.
And they did an interview with Zack Snyder.
Uh-oh.
And
Oh,
in
geez.
the interview, it was like a Zoom interview, and he had the balls in that interview to say, I don't support what you guys are about.
Ugh. Ugh.
No, he said Zack Snyder supports,
Oh, okay,
inclusivity.
good. Okay, good. I'm sorry.
No, it's the group that's toxic and does not want inclusivity. And
Mhm.
Zack Snyder's like, I don't agree with you guys.
I don't agree with you guys. Yeah.
Good.
And it was him and like 7 of them,
Mm-hmm.
and he stood up to them.
Good.
It's like, damn. Okay.
Okay.
So do we want to do more sprints, or do we want to call it?
I would be perfectly content with calling it because
Okay.
sleepy time.
I was gonna get a snack, but I could also do another sprint and then get a snack. But I'm definitely getting hungry.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Let us call it for now, because I do have something coming up in a half hour anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah, 50 Shades is definitely really bad fanfic, CB.
Hmm?
CB mentioned
yeah.
50 Shades being bad fanfic, and I agree with that. My
Yeah.
bad. Sorry, but yeah, me too.
So was the Shadowhunter series.
Oh.
That was a...
So was the Iron Druid, and so was the Dresden Files, and so was the Anita Blake series, and yeah.
You could technically say the Song of Ice and Fire is
Song of
tangentially is tangentially Lord of the Rings fanfic.
I know, right?
No, but the Shadowhunter series is... I'm trying to think. It was a Ginny and someone fanfic from Harry Potter,
Mm.
and she changed the names.
Mm-hmm.
If Zack Snyder, of all people, is telling you guys are kind of shitbags, you definitely need to do an internal review. All right. Do you want to do outros?
Sure.
Sure.
Howdy neighbors, I'm Sako Toomey, also known as Cass Voight. I write horror, and I'm a witch, and I'm a graphic designer, and sometimes I combine those 3 things. So if you are looking to market yourself as an author, I have videos on the topic at this name. I've got a playlist and everything. You should drop by sometime. I would love to see you.
Oh, go ahead, Jason.
No, go ahead. It's your
My
turn.
name is Katarina, but my channel is A Turtle That Is Red, and I've got about 5 fun alongside interviews that are up from some really cool people. And eventually I hope to get more videos out. As you heard at the beginning, I've got plans. Woo!
And I am Jace Maxwell. I'm an author of urban fantasy, among other things. I'm an editor for Rose City Editing. I do gaming and writing things on my channel. Normally I would do Vampire the Masquerade tabletop RPG on Thursdays at noon. However, we have a group of people that needs to take care of themselves, and so I decided that we need to let them have some self-care because that is what a human being does.
We are not human beings. We are vampires.
And I have my regular stream on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. And once again, please, please, please check out the Pride and Prejudice writing audio anthology, because it is going to be amazing and we want more participation.
Representation matters.
Yes. All right. Catch ya later.